Okay. Hey, folks. Welcome back to Everything Under the Sun, the podcast. I am your host. We are doing this live on Instagram as well as YouTube. So if my uh, gaze moves between both cameras, that is why. I just want to make sure we are good to go. This is season 2, episode 4, and I apologize for the delay. This episode should have come in November, but I'm actually glad I waited because I have more content to share. And so, um, let's get right into it. Cuffin season 2021 has literally lasted all of 2021. Okay. I did not have a typical experience this year. It's just been a year, if I'm being honest with y'all. So the beginning of the year, from January till May, I was living in Los Angeles, and in Los Angeles I wasn't dating anyone seriously. I wasn't in any type of relationship. There was a human that existed, and right before I left, he decided to take me on 2 real dates. And they were kind of like goodbye dates, right? So that was that. Then I relocated to St. Louis, and I rejoined the apps, dating apps. I updated my profiles. I updated the bios, the pictures, all the things. Trying to make sure that I was current and ready to be back on the market in a brand new city. And I really gave it my best. I gave it my best. That's what I can say. And I'm just gonna try to go through some of the experiences that I've had. So in the summer, I started dating this guy. I started dating a bunch of different people. I tried to keep it open, keep it light. Just want to keep my options open. Try to be flexible, be patient, make a little bit of sacrifice and some leniency. But the crop in the summer was piss poor. Not a single person that I met during the summer is still around. There were some negative experiences. There was a lot of lack of follow through. There were no real dates that happened in the summer. I didn't actually start experiencing any dates until October, I want to say. And the one experience from the summer that stands out the most to me was this guy who I was supposed to meet at a gym for a gym date. And on my way to the gym, so mind you, I didn't have my car this summer, and so I was taking public transportation. And on my way to the gym, after confirming for sure that he was coming, he basically ghosted me after I had already taken one bus to get to where I was going. And so that was extremely frustrating. And it basically scarred me, because it's just like, why would you do that? Like, number one, why wouldn't you ask to give me a ride if you know that I'm going to be taking the bus? And two, why are you ghosting me? Because I'm deciding to take the bus. Like, my job pays for public transportation, so it's not like I'm coming out of pocket. And the prices out here for Uber and Lyft are just atrocious. So I wasn't about to spend bread on Uber or Lyft when I could get there on the bus. It really, it wasn't that big of a deal. But if it was a big deal to you and you were concerned that I didn't have a vehicle, you could have just asked me, like, why don't you have a car? And I could have just said, it's still in LA. So yeah, from there were a couple other people who came, had a couple conversations with folks. There was one guy that I did like a lot. Like, I was physically attracted to him. Personality wise, he seemed cool. But after we had sex, he basically disappeared, which is like the trend. And so I honestly stopped having sex with people, because what's the point? Like, if you're going to ghost me anyway, you might as well not get anything from me, especially physically, out of it, if that's going to be the case. So I really stopped engaging in physical activity with folks over the last couple of months. And So then, we get into the fall. I'm putting more effort into dating. So I'm on both apps actively, engaging in conversation, moving conversation from the apps to texting. Some people have asked to talk on the phone. Some people are asking to go on dates and the dates don't happen. I can't tell y'all how many dates have been planned. And then there's been no follow through, which is really just exhausting, if I'm being honest, because I'm setting aside time in my schedule to spend with you, and then you're not showing up. And I'm just going to be honest, it's extremely unattractive. I do not like that whatsoever, especially because if you know me, I'm a planner. So if I've planned to entertain you for 1 to 3 hours, that's a big chunk of my time. And now I can't allot that time to something else because I've allotted it to spending time with you. And then by the time you're bailing on me, it's too late for me to put something else together. And that has happened quite a lot. Just really ridiculously a lot. So then I eventually was dating this guy. He was a professional he is a professional poker player. And he basically got at me about doing his hair first, and then it turned into, well, I'm actually interested in you too. And I'm like, okay, cool, not a problem. So we had like a regular first day. We went bowling, and then we had a second date where I did his hair, and then we kind of did like a Netflix and chill kind of situation. Then we had a third date, and essentially after the third date, he basically expressed that he didn't want it wasn't going to escalate further than what it was. And I explained to him, I was going to continue dating, and he basically was like, well, if you just want sex, then you could hit me up. And if I'm being honest with y'all, his sex was not worth hitting him up for. So that didn't happen. And I was just like, I'm cool on you. So then from there, I started dating someone else. And he's actually been the most consistent and the longest to stick around. But if I'm being completely honest with y'all, I'm unfulfilled. I don't feel like we're dating. I feel like we're hanging out. And to be clear about what that means to me, we spend a lot of time sitting in either of our homes, and we don't actually go on dates. The very first time we met at this place where you could play pool and like other arcade games, and it was a really good time. He ended up having a friend that was there too, and so we had like a couples, like a double date, and that was a lot of fun for me because I haven't been on a double date since I was a sophomore in college. So it's been 10 years actually. Wow. So it's been 10 years since I've been on a double date. So I had a really great time, really enjoyed it. We're cracking jokes. And just enjoying each other's time. And then he kind of gave me the vibes that he was interested in me, to move forward. So I was like, okay, cool. I like you too. And he's still been around. We then did we just hung out a lot. We spent the night together with each other for 5 days out of a 7-day week. And then he hadn't tried anything. Now, mind you, I'm great, respect my boundaries, respect me as a human. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But then I was just like, bro, why haven't you tried anything with me? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, what's up with the sex? Like, what are we doing? And he was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you haven't done anything, and we've been together every night. And he's like, oh, well, I'm just, I'm not having sex right now. And I'm like, so are you celibate? Are you abstinent? What's going on? And so essentially he says that he's abstinent and that he's just trying to wait to have sex until he feels like it's real, before moving forward with somebody. I'm like, okay, cool. I can totally respect that. No pressure on my end. So it's been over 2 months that we've been dealing with each other, and we haven't had any sex. And so kind of because of that, I have decided just to not deal with people in that way, and to just really just date people for the real intent of getting to know them, and honestly trying to figure out who these people are, without sex being involved. And so that has been going well for me because I feel like in my 20s, I felt like I was being used. And so I've heard myself say a lot, like, they're not even just having sex with me. Like, niggas is literally just ghosting me off the strength of just ghosting me. Like, they're not getting anything from me. The dates are not terrible. The interactions are not terrible. They just don't want to deal with me. And I was trying to explain to somebody recently that I don't know what the issue is. I can't put a finger on it. I've asked, for feedback, and I'm not understanding what's going on. So it's just been a strange couple of months. So this guy is still around, and after the first date at the place where you could play pool, I have asked him to like coordinate other dates. They haven't happened. He'll say yes, and then by the time the date gets here, he's backing out. I finally asked him if he wanted to go to a club with me, because he's a dancer, and he says yes, like at the very last minute, y'all. I was like literally walking out the door to go to a different event because I hadn't heard from him, and he's telling me yes, and I am not dressed to go to the club. And so when I find out that he's ready to go to the club, I'm still obviously not dressed because I just came from something else that was way more chill. And so I go to the club looking like a bum. And I was really unhappy about that. I was so frustrated. And he doesn't pay for me to get in, and then he doesn't buy me a drink. And so it doesn't feel like a date. I feel like I'm out with a friend and not my nigga. So it was just weird. And then while we were there too, he there's some other girl in there who's making a lot of eye contact with him. I'm trying not to let it bother me in the beginning, but then it does. And so I make a comment like, if you need to go talk to her or say hi or something, if you know her, just do that. Like, I don't understand what's going on right now. He's like, oh no, I already talked to her. And so mind you, I don't know when he had a moment to talk to her because I was by his side the whole time. And so that really blew me. And then there was a moment where this white guy kept coming into my face and being in my space, and he didn't try to get him out of my face or protect me or make anything like he just wasn't acting like my nigga. And at this point, we had already been dealing with each other for over a month. So I'm like, you should feel comfortable to stand in, even if a person wasn't my nigga, but I'm out with you. You should feel comfortable to step in if you feel like somebody is approaching me in a negative way. So the second time when it happened, his friends actually stepped in before he did, and I'm like, what is that about? So that kind of put me on the edge of like, I'm not feeling this. This doesn't work for me, but whatever. So we continue to hang out. He goes out of town. Then I'm going out of town a lot. So we're really not seeing each other as much. He works a lot and works late. And then I was working and having late programming. So our schedules were not really coordinating. We hang out again, and he like buys dinner. That's the only meal he's bought for me. And we ate it in my house. Like, we didn't even sit in the restaurant. And a couple weeks ago, I asked him to go look at Christmas lights, because there's like these special neighborhoods out here in St. Louis where they have like neighborhoods dedicated to Christmas lights setups. And so I asked him out to go do that, and he said yes. We go, and it was cool. We had a great time. Like, we laughed the whole time and all that type of stuff. But outside of that, it's just not enough. Like, I don't feel like we're dating for real. We're not like, while I don't need to be like having sex with you, I still want to be intimate. Like, I want to feel like you like me physically, and I don't feel like there's enough of that there. We don't communicate all day, and I feel like he's not even like asking questions like he was in the beginning. So it's just like, I'm just like, just unfulfilled. So he's still around, but low key, I'm on the verge of like ending things. So yeah, so outside of that, he's been the most consistent person, like I said, but it just, I don't really know if it's gonna go anywhere. Beyond that, the other things that have happened in the past few weeks, I met this person on the app. He was finally a person who met the bare minimum of what I'm looking for, which is somebody who has a degree. He had a master's. Somebody who had a passport. He's actually used it. Someone with a career, like a real job, hasn't been to jail, and doesn't have kids. So I believe I've said this before, but I'll say it again for the record. Right now in this dating season, for me, I would prefer to date someone without children. But I do feel like in the grand scheme of things, I'll end up marrying somebody who already has children. I'm not really interested in birthing my own. So if you have some and you don't want to have any more, totally fine with me, right? So yeah, so I go to have conversation with this guy. We're talking all day. He sends me a message explaining what his job is. That's literally bigger than the screen on my phone. And I'm like, okay, this is going really well. Like, we talk all day. The conversation is good. He's not sending me, short answers. I'm like, I'm really feeling this guy. I can't wait to meet him. But he says that he's busy with work. I said, okay, cool. Well, I also have some events this weekend, so let's meet next Monday. He's like, no, we can meet sooner. I'm like, okay, great. So we meet that night of that conversation. And I'm coming from work and he has to go back to work. So we meet literally in the middle of a Walmart parking lot. Like, we didn't even go into an establishment. We didn't get a drink. Nothing formal. This is literally to lay eyes on a person. So we meet in the parking lot. We have a brief conversation, really no more than 8 minutes of conversation. And it was basic. It was just a, hey, how you doing? How was work? I'm from the east side. I said I'm bougie. I don't want to go back to the east side. And a couple other sentences, right? And then I go home. I text him that I'm home. He responds, cool. Then I asked him, so, did I meet your expectations? And I saw the little bubble come up that he was messaging me back. And then he didn't respond. So then I respond to say, dang, you're making me nervous because like some time has passed. And the message no longer says delivered. This nigga blocked me between me driving home, letting him know I'm home, and confirming that I was home. That's it. Why did I get blocked? I do not understand. I tried to have a conversation with my brother about it. Tried to have a conversation with a coworker. Had another conversation with my homegirl. No one understands why this nigga blocked me. Nothing happened. I was dressed nice. At that point, my hair was freshly done. It's not freshly done anymore. But I looked nice. Like, I came in my own vehicle. Like, it's not like I was like looking like a bum or anything. And he blocked me. For what, my nigga? For what? There were two other people who, very minor human beings. They literally had no traction, hadn't even met them yet, but we've had multiple conversations. They hung up on me while I was on the phone with them. I literally had one dude call me. The phone was on the couch. My wig was on the other side of the couch. I tried to go put my wig on, and before I could pick up the phone, like as I'm like picking up the phone to talk to him, he hung up. And after that, we haven't talked again. Now, mind you, we had already matched, stopped talking, rematched, talked again, and then he blocked me. I'm like, bro, you ain't even met me yet. We ain't even going on a date. You don't even, like, I don't even understand. All I said was, I'm coming to the phone, and you blocked me. I mean, you hang up on me. So I blocked him. Don't need to talk to the man ever again in my life. I'm straight. Then this other dude, he had two phones. I didn't realize that I had two of his numbers saved in my phone. So there are two different numbers. One's an iPhone, one's an Android. I didn't realize I had both of them saved. So we're having this whole conversation, and he's like, why don't you hit me up more? Da-da-da. I'm like, bro, I text you all the time. This is the number that I have. And so finally, I see both of the numbers because they're saved as very minor difference. Saved differently in the phone. So I apologize. And we reconcile. Then I somehow we ended up on the, I don't even know why we were talking. Oh, I texted him to let him know I was going home or something, and he's like, what did you do tonight? And I was like, oh, well, I tried to go skating but it didn't work out. He's like, then he started like judging me, like, why didn't you try? What happened? I said the guy shut the skate rink down. He's like, oh, well, you didn't try hard enough. I'm like, I couldn't skate. The owner shut the place down. And as I'm saying that, he hung up on me. When I tell y'all, I blocked, like, and I was literally, I was turning the corner to come to my apartment. I literally blocked both numbers and ain't checked back since. I'm like, why are y'all hanging up on me? Let's at least be decent human beings. Like, at least say, you know what? I don't like how you're talking, or I don't like your tone, or I don't want to deal with this, or something. But you just literally hang up while I'm in the middle of a sentence is rude AF. So then in October, let's talk about another person. In October, I was out at a networking event for Harris Stowe. I'm at the event. One guy comes up talking to me and is like really heavy, trying to flirt with me, trying to get at me, and I'm not interested. I just literally don't find him attractive, and I don't like when people are sloppy drunk like that. It's not cute to me. However, some other guy shows up, ends up being his friend, and he starts flirting with me, and I like him. I find him attractive. He's talking to me. I'm liking the conversation. I'm liking where things are going. He's being very flirtatious. He ended up kissing me. That was on my Instagram. If you follow my personal account, that was in my story. So we're having a great time. While we're in conversation, I say, are you single? Are you looking to date? Like, are you actively dating? Do you have time to date? And he, says yes, 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 yes. So that was on a Thursday. There's a Friday night program. I invite him to come out too. He's like, oh no, I wasn't going to go. I'm like, please, I don't want to go myself. He gets up, gets dressed, comes and meet me at the event. I'm like, yes, I'm loving the energy. If I say I want to spend time with you and you show up, I love that. Everything's going great. Then Saturday is a tailgate. He's at the tailgate. He makes sure he sees me. We're taking pictures together. Everything's cool. Sunday, I go to an event with my homegirl. We're talking. He's, reminding me that his birthday's coming up. I think on Wednesday, I hit him up to see what his birthday plans are going to be. His birthday was like on Friday. I hit him up to see what his plans are going to be. He tells me he's going to be with family. I said, okay, well, if you got plans on this day, maybe we can do brunch on Sunday. So like right after his birthday. He ain't responded since. Like literally just fell off the face of the earth. I have no idea what I did wrong. I don't know what I said, what I didn't do. If he was just playing, if he just thought I was joking with him, like about being interested in dating him. Like I don't know if it was insecurities. I don't know if I triggered him in some way. I don't know what happened, y'all. I have no idea, but I actually was genuinely interested in him. So then the other day, I'm swiping and I see this nigga on the app. I'm like, so you literally are in the process of trying to date people and you literally leave somebody hanging that's interested in you? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Like I'm confused. None of this shit makes sense. Cuffin season fucking sucked this year. Like, I'm so mad right now. So that blew me. I don't want to see his face ever again. I swear to God, if I see him again, I'm probably going to punch him. I'm not even joking, and that's not a threat. It's just the realities. That was a really punk-ass move to treat me like that. Like, we're having a great time. This weekend has been fantastic, and then you just disappeared. You didn't even block me. Like, my shit still says delivered. So I'm not blocked. It's not like I don't have access to him. Okay, earlier in October was busy. Earlier in October, I traveled down to Memphis for somebody's. It's not it was a tailgate, but it wasn't for a football, like a regular football game. It was for a homecoming. It was for a bowl. So I go down there. I'm walking around with my friends, and I happen to see someone who literally made me do a double take. I was entranced. The man was fine. This man is fine. I mean, when I tell y'all this is God's greatest work, man is fine. He's an artist. He's extremely creative, has his own shop in Memphis. If you follow my personal account, I've promoted his shop. He amazes me. I am still, like, if he were to give me the time of the day, I'd probably go back. But that has not been the case. So I'm chilling. I ain't worried about it no more. But we interacted really heavily for like 2 weeks. Conversation was great. Texting all day, FaceTiming, like everything's amazing. He's like educating me about things, like stuff's great. Then I say I'm gonna come back. He makes plans to go out of the city. Then I say I'll come back another time. He got a show. He's unavailable. It's not going to be fair to me. He ain't going to spend time with me. He can't take me out. He's going to be tired. Basically, don't come. Cool. I make one final effort. Clear clear my calendar. I take the day off from work. I'm like, I'm going to Memphis. I deserve a break. Something else comes up. I said, look, I'm not making another effort. I don't think I've even talked to him since. I'm not going to beg you for your attention. I'm not going to beg you for your time. I've made myself available on several occasions. I am broke. My car is not in the best condition. I'm going to drive down to see you anyway. And for some reason, it's too difficult for you to make that happen. I'm not asking you for all the time in the world. I'm not asking you to spend a whole bunch of money on me. I'm not asking you to stop what else you got going on. I want to see you at your shows. I want to support you at your vending events. I think this shit is great. I love art. I love it. I obviously want to be at it. I am here for this. So if you have these events going on, I'm not stopping you from doing your thing. I can just be the girl that's helping you with your customers. I can help you set up. I can help you break down. I could work the door. I can do whatever you need me to do. You need me to take the trash away from the thing. Whatever it is, I don't care, because the point is to support you in your element. Point blank period. See you, be with you, whatever. That's it. But for some reason, I was too freaking difficult for this nigga to wrap his head around, and I am not in the mood to deal with anybody's BS. If you can't handle that, I'm out. So I haven't talked to him since. And I have zero intentions. And I literally was just in Memphis and didn't even hit him up. Probably be back in Memphis, and I'm not talking to him, because what's the point? Y'all are playing with me. Okay. I still actually still frustrated over him, clearly. Need to work through that. Anyways, so there was this other person, and I'm only bringing this up because I just want people to be careful. So there's this person who I matched with, initially coming out the gate. I asked him what was he looking for. He said didn't want anything serious. He just wanted something casual. It will basically involve sex and some dating. I said, okay, cool. I'm down with that. Let's at least meet, talk, whatever. So we have a conversation over the phone. The conversation over the phone was awful. I literally didn't have anything else to say. I was like, you know what? I'm going to call you back. Never called him back. So then he reaches out to me and apologizes. Says, I'm sorry. That conversation really didn't go so great. I wasn't having a great day. I really want to try this again. Sure, why not? So we have another conversation. It's all about sex. Send me nudes. I'm like, bro, for what? I haven't even met you yet. I don't know you at all. Why would I send you these things? I have a whole career to protect, and you're a whole stranger. I'm not sending you anything that could hurt me in the long run, because when niggas don't get what they want, they lash out. And especially with these people in this generation, y'all all want to do it on social media. I don't have time for that. So I'm not going to set myself up to fail. So I don't send him anything. He agrees to meet me in person. We finally meet in person, and he's too tall for me. Now, mind y'all, I don't have an issue with tall men. I don't have an issue with short men. I don't care if you're skinny. I don't care if you're fat. I don't care what you look like. But this man was too tall for me. Like, shit would have been awkward. So we meet in person. We're having a conversation. The conversation is okay. Honestly, my guard is up. I'm not really feeling it. The energy is off. And the whole conversation is around, I really like sex. I want to have sex with you. I need to have sex with you to determine if I want to move forward. This continues. I finally asked him, hey, do you want to go to the Kevin Hart? Dang, I did it again. Do you want to go to the Cat Williams show that was here? That might have been early November. I said, do you want to go to the Cat Williams show? He's like, no. I said, he was like, well, if we had already had sex, I wouldn't mind taking you out on a date. What are you talking about? We have to have sex to go on dates? Nigga, you're weird. You're weird. And this is not comfortable. This is no longer a safe space. I don't like it here. So then we get into an argument, and I'm just like, you have control issues, and this is uncomfortable for me. Don't ever hit me up again. We ain't talked since. But niggas are weird out here, and I just want to say this to the ladies, and I mean also for men too. Please be careful. Please be careful. You do not know what people have been through or what they're willing to do to get what they want. And to be honest with y'all, I really feel like that could have just went really negatively, and I'm glad that I took myself out of that situation before it went any further. Because, in all honesty, he I don't want to put this into the air, but he could have raped me. Like, if that was his whole focus and that's all he wanted to talk about, and there wasn't any other substance to it, and we were alone, that could have been how things went. And I'm not trying to have that experience in my life, so I exited the situation. But just be careful out here, because you just never know, especially meeting people on dating apps. I have said this before, but always meet people in public spaces. Let people know where you're at. Um, you know, and just be diligent. Um, all right. Then, okay, so this is another person who blew me. It just doesn't make sense, to be completely honest with y'all. Like, granted, it makes sense partially, but not fully. Okay, so I met this person on the apps, obviously, and um he worked for a cable company or whatever it's called here, Spectrum. And so he was in between jobs. I took time from meeting a girl for brunch to drive all the way out to where he was to meet him in between gigs, just so we could do a little meet and greet. I'm always going to support a meet and greet, because sometimes it's just good to put your eyes on somebody and make sure that you even want to go further, right? Like, you don't necessarily need to have a date, but at least do a meet and greet. And so we do that. We have some initial conversation. Even before that took place, all of the texting was great. I really enjoyed talking to him. That later that day, I wanted to hang out with him again, and I was coming from an event. And I was like, "Hey, do you mind? Like, do you want some company? Do you mind if I come over?" He's like, "Sure." I'm like, "Okay, great. I'm coming from this event." So I pull up on him, and we go into his room. Now, for me, it was late, but it wasn't that late that we needed to go straight to the room. We could have sat in the living room and watched TV. Like, that's what I was intending to do. We go in the room, we're sitting up and we're talking, and I get really tired because now I've driven fully across the city twice. And I say, "Hey, are you okay if I sleep over? If not, I'll leave now." And he's like, "Well, I figured if you came over this late, that you were gonna spend the night." I said, "Okay, cool. I just want to let you know, I'm not interested in doing anything. Is that gonna be a problem?" He was like, "No, it's straight." I said, "Okay, cool." So then later in the evening, he's like, "Oh, well," what did he say? I can't remember the exact wording that was used, but essentially he wanted to touch me. So he's touching me, and I'm just like, again, nothing's happening. Do you need me to leave? Because I don't want to put a person in a position that's going to compromise how they're feeling or make them uncomfortable, right? He's like, "Oh no, it's cool. We could just go to sleep." I said, "Okay, great." So I go to sleep. Then in the middle of the night, I wake up, and I guess it was my spidey senses tingling. Because like maybe 10 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, you gotta go," and I'm like, "Okay." Uh, we had discussed before going to sleep that he didn't have to be up till 6 in the morning. It's 3. Why do I need to go at 3? So I leave. I ain't got no problem. Grab my stuff, get out. I go home. I can't remember if I texted him that I'm home, but either way, he didn't check to make sure I was good. The whole day goes by, no conversation. Later in the evening, I text him and I'm like, "So what happened this morning?" And come to find out I was blocked. So then I go back to the app. He unmatched me. I'm like, if you just wanted sex, my guy, you could have just said that. You could have just said that, and I would not have even come over. I wouldn't have even come over if that's all you wanted, because that's not what I'm trying to do. I didn't want to come talk to you, chill with you for a little bit, and I happened to get tired. I asked you, was it okay if I stayed? Because I could have driven myself the 20 minutes back home and been Gucci. When it's time to go, I know how to roll. It's not a problem. Either way, he blocked me. And I'm not really pressed about it, because once I saw him like outside of his work clothes and in his home, I wasn't attracted anymore. But it's just the way you go about things. Like, y'all don't have to be jerks about it. You do not have to block me and unmatch me to just say, "Yo, I'm not interested." You could easily just say, "This isn't going to work for me," or "This is all I wanted." You could have done that in the beginning, and I wouldn't have even come to see you. The first time. I wouldn't have wasted my gas to drive from the Central West End to Florissant. I wouldn't have come. I wouldn't have come. And we would have been good. So, all right. So then, okay. It's two more, and then I'm done. All right. A couple weeks ago, I matched with this guy. Conversation's going great. We make plans. We go on a first date. Right before the first date, he tells me that his car needs to go to the shop. So in my mind, I'm thinking this nigga's about to bail, or he's going to be like somebody else and ask me for a ride. I don't necessarily have a problem giving you a ride, but you need to actually have a vehicle. He doesn't bail. We definitely have the first date. The first date is amazing. The first date is literally the best date I've had all year at that time. Best date. We go to dinner, we have drinks, we have great conversation. He ends up coming with me to a friend's house to pregame before we go out. I invite him to come out. He decides to come out. He's buying all the drinks. He's making sure that I'm having a good time. I'm dancing with him. Everything's amazing. I go home with him and we just cuddle. It was so good, y'all. I was genuinely excited. Like, I haven't been excited about a nigga all year. I was in a good space. We hang out again a couple days later. It's a great night. We just talk. We decompress from work. We go to sleep. Everything's Gucci. I go away for my graduation ceremony. We talk the entire time I'm gone up until my drive home. We make plans on like Saturday or Friday of that weekend that I was going to make tacos, give him a massage. We're going to drink a little wine on that Monday because he's saying that he's been stressed from work. It's been a lot going on. And I'm like, I want to do something nice for you. I go get the groceries. I'm checking to make sure we're good. Don't hear from him Sunday night. Don't hear from him all day Monday. I'm like, what did I do this time? I'm okay about to get emotional because I'm really frustrated. Tuesday, he finally responds and he's like, I'm sorry I didn't respond to you yesterday. I got a lot going on with work. I'm really stressed out with family. It wasn't you. I wasn't trying to not talk to you yesterday. Blase, blase. So I'm frustrated and I'm like, okay, I say thank you for the apology. Did you want to do the dinner tonight instead? No response. So still haven't heard from him. I appreciate that he at least apologized, but I don't understand how you go from 4 days ago telling me you can see yourself in a relationship to me to not talking to me at all. This is the first time somebody all year has said that they could see themselves in a relationship with me and then ghost me again. So I'm like, charge it to the game. This shit just keeps happening. Whatever. So I go back to Atlanta for Christmas weekend. So this just happened. I had matched with this guy when I was there for Thanksgiving, but we were not able to link with each other. And we talked once over the phone since then, and then we had texted a couple of times, but it really wasn't anything substantial. But while I'm out there, I hit him up and I'm like, hey, I'm back. I know I told you that I was going to come back for Christmas. Did you want to try to get together this weekend? He's like, sure, I would love to meet you, blase, blase. I said, okay, cool. So the last time I was in Atlanta during Thanksgiving break, I had a date set up to go skating with this guy. And on the day that we were supposed to go skating, he's not responding. Then he does respond, and I didn't get to see the response, and then he unmatched me on the app. So I don't even know what he said. But I'm like, this shit's getting out of control. But I am a hopeless romantic, and I just know that there's somebody out there for me, so I just keep trying. So I agree to go out with the dude while I'm in Atlanta. We go out Friday night. We go to a place like this black-owned bar and hookah lounge type of situation, and we actually have a good time. Conversations flowing. We're being close to each other. We're talking. Everything is just going great, and we're in there for hours. He kind of insinuates that he wants me to come back with him, but it's Christmas Eve, and my niece is with us. I have to be an auntie, right? Like I have to manage my responsibility. So I'm like, I can't do tonight, but I would love to see you again. We can reconvene. And he's like, cool. And in my mind, I really feel like he wasn't gonna hit me up anymore because when niggas don't get what they want, they ghost me. But he didn't do that. So we're talking through Christmas. Everything's Gucci. Then we're talking on, so Christmas on Saturday. So talking on Sunday, and he's like, yeah, I'm about to go work out, or I might go for a walk. And I'm like, oh, I'll be down for a walk if you want to go. And he's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, I don't have my car right now, but if you don't mind picking me up, I'll go with you. He's like, sure. I'm like, dope. So he picks me up. This man took me on a 4-mile walk. 4-mile walk. We walk 2 miles down. He says that I'm gonna treat you to nachos and margaritas when we get to the end. And I'm like, but how we getting back? And he's like, oh, we'll take the scooters back. And I'm like, nah, we'll see about that. Y'all, them little scooters, the birds, and all them things add up. They're expensive, and I'm like, I don't have the money right now to do that, and I'm not gonna spend extra money make you spend extra money for us to do that when we could really walk back. Because I wear workout clothes, I'm in sneakers, I'm comfortable walking back, but I just need a break. So we do the walk, we have a great conversation going down, we're people watching and all this stuff. Everything's Gucci. We eat, and drink, and then we walk all the way back, and I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do next? You want to drop me off? And he's like, well, what do you want to do next? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't make it this far. I don't have 2 consistent real dates and someone still wants to see me. Like after this, I normally go straight home. He's like, no, I'm kidnapping you and we going to my crib. I said, okay, cool. We go back to his place. We watch movies. We still talk. Like everything is great. Then we did some things and then I went home. I said, okay, cool. I've had a great day. I'm gonna go sleep at my mama's. So that's Sunday. Then I'm still in Atlanta on Monday, and I'm like, I really should have got us dinner Sunday night because we were hungry, and neither one of us wanted to spend any money. So we were just starving, and so I was like, I'm gonna make it up to you. I'll get dinner tonight, etc., etc. So Monday, I go back to his place. I bring dinner, and we watch a movie, and then it just got weird and awkward, mad uncomfortable. He's being really passive aggressive, and I was like, well, I don't want to sit through this. I'm gonna just go home. So we talked it out through text or whatever, and we're still talking today. So today is I don't know what day of the week it is right now. Wednesday, Thursday, maybe it's Thursday. I think it's Thursday. And we're still talking. So 3 days since I left, and still conversations happening. I'm honestly not holding my breath about it. I feel like everything comes to an end at some point, and so whatever. So that was the most dates, consecutive dates I've had with a person since September. And I feel like we're in a good place, for the most part, but we'll just see. We'll just see. It's just been a very topsy-turvy CUFFIN season. I do not know who will still be around. Technically, CUFFIN season ends with Valentine's Day and all that stuff, but that's a month and a half from now. I don't know who will still be around by that point, or if there'll be someone new or no one at all. So I'm just kind of in a place of go with the flow, can't really plan ahead. I can't make a single date with the person who lives here. I can't plan for anything. He doesn't take any initiative. I'm just like, whatever. And then the person in Atlanta would just see. We'll just see. I don't have an issue with long distance, but I was trying to be very intentional about not doing long distance. I would very much like someone that is here, because I want to do things on a regular basis with the same person. That was my goal. But hey, if the person I end up with does not live in the city I live in, I'm not gonna be mad about it. Just gives me more reason to travel. So that's been cuffing season for me. It's been really rough. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've had to have a lot of like broke therapy sessions with friends and colleagues and just like try to figure this shit out. My feelings have been hurt a lot recently. I don't think I've been overtly mean to anybody. And I don't think that I deserve for people to be mean to me. But that is what keeps happening. So I really want to take a break from intentionally trying to work on dating. But I don't want it to sound like I'm giving up on the hopes of God presenting me with someone who will stick around. But at the same time, I'm tired of exerting so much energy and effort in something that is not being fruitful. So I'm going to round this out with another story of a person who literally doesn't matter, but I just want to share this because it's important. So if someone's dating, or if you feel like you're in a place to date, you really need to, my mom calls it, have your pillars in place, and make sure that you are able and capable of dating. And I say that because I met a whole grown ass man who is not in position to be dating. So we're communicating. He sets up a date. The day of the date, he says to me, "Hey, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I'm not going to be able to do the date today. I spent my last of my money trying to fix my sister's car, and I don't have any extra money, and the car is not working." So essentially, he wouldn't be able to come meet me anywhere. He couldn't pay for the food of the place that we were meeting at. And I'm like, okay, well, one, you could have just asked for a ride. It's not difficult. And based on the situation, the experience that I had in the summer, I don't mind giving someone a ride. But he didn't ask, so I had to offer. So then I go to get him. And he comes out of a house. In front of said house is a whole vehicle. While I'm waiting for him to come outside, an elderly woman comes outside and gets in the vehicle and drives away. So who is this, and why does their vehicle work? So then he comes outside and he looks bummy. He's not dressed like he's going on a date. I'm confused. I'm dressed like I'm going on a date. So before we even pull off, I say, hey, are you going to have a way to get yourself home if I don't bring you back over here? Or do you want to stay on this side of town to make it easier? Because he lived in East St. Louis, which is a 40-minute drive from my home and a lot of gas. I wasn't interested in doing 2 trips. He said, no, straight, I'll take the metro back. It's cool, no problem. If you could just drop me off at the train station. Cool. So we go on a walking date. We go walk into some shops in a neighborhood I hadn't been to before. And we have good conversation. He's sharing things with me. And it's a decent outing. I am no longer interested just based on appearance. He did not show up like he was going on a date. So then we're having conversation, and he talks about, he had already told me he had 2 jobs. He's talking about these 2 jobs, and I'm confused how you have 2 jobs and you don't have any money to pay for yourself to eat or me to eat. Now, mind you, I'm not asking you to take me to no 5-star restaurant. I'm not asking you to pay for unlimited mimosas and brunch and desserts and whatever. We're gonna have lunch. I'm thinking you might spend at best $40 if we get drinks, and I am the person that's always gonna get water. So if you cannot do that, you should have just not gone on a date. You should have said, I'll get with you next week, or hey, whatever. So anyways, we don't go to eat, we just do the walking thing, and then I drop him back off. He's on my line, still bothering me, and I'm not responding as fast as he wants me to. I'm like, bro, I think you're interested in me more than I'm interested in you. And he's like, okay, we ain't talked since, and I'm not mad about it. But I was frustrated because he didn't have a car, didn't have access to use the vehicles that were in front of the home. Come to find out, the home that he was staying in was not his own. It was his cousin's home. So perhaps that was a grandmother that came outside. You have 2 sources of income and no money. You have a grown-ass child in college and you're divorced. And I don't, like, how? You're not in a position to date right now. You are not physically, financially, or emotionally available to handle starting something new. And that's not okay. And I try to ask every human being that I interact with, are you available to date? Do you have time to date? And if you don't have time to date, you don't need to be talking to me. Because I am making time to date to the point that my brother is frustrated with how much time I'm outside the house. I am doing too much. So I just want to put a little public service announcement out there. Please make sure you are emotionally, financially, mentally, physically, spiritually available to participate in the dating experience. You are not harming others, and you are able to provide the experience that is positive for others. There's so much more that's coming in tomorrow's episode, but that is going to be the public service announcement for today. Thank you all for tuning in to season 2, episode 4, Cuffin Season Part 2 on everything under the sun. And I'm going to holla at y'all. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode.